All right, what's going on, boys and girls? So this particular video we're going to be looking at, someone requested me to do this, so it's don't buy the Steam Deck. Very disappointing. This is my reaction. I know it's been a while since I've done one. Let's roll into it. This is an 8.5 minute video, so I'm going to try to keep my responses short and to the point, but you know how this goes. If it's dumb, it's dumb.
Hello and welcome back to a new video. So recently I've been playing around with the brand new Steam Deck and decided that I wanted to do a review of the Steam Deck. And as an avid gamer, PC gamer,
Now, I don't do a lot of reviews personally, not my style. I've done a few. I don't show the hardware quite frequently, but at least show the hardware to show that you actually own the thing as opposed to making it sound like you're going to be talking out of your ass. Just saying.
and a fan of traveling, when I first heard about the Steam Deck, I just knew I had to get one. I thought to myself, wow, I can do PC gaming on a handheld device and not have to carry my really heavy gaming laptop in my backpack and hurt my back. Unfortunately,
If 5 pounds hurts your back, you might want to get outside. You might want to get outside some more there, bruh. Like, maybe bending over and actually getting out of your gaming chair occasionally might help you. Just saying. But really, what it boils down to is if you think 5 pounds is heavy, go back a few years. I can show you a workstation that would break your back then if your gaming laptop hurts your back.
as a portable gaming device, it has just really let me down and disappointed me, and it's not quite up to my standards. I just found it to be extremely lackluster and not as good as it's been hyped up to be. Now, usually when I go traveling, I bring my Switch because it's light and portable, and it's quite good. It's got some good games on it, but it doesn't have all the games that I want to play. It doesn't have PC games. So I thought to myself, wow, Steam Deck is going to solve all of my problems in life. There's just a
If all your problems in life are simply gaming related, you might want to expand your expectations in life. I'm just saying. And, you know, I love video games, don't get me wrong. But it's not being overhyped any more than people are hyping it up. Valve has been very clear that this is a work in progress. This is what it is. This is a Linux-based handheld gaming console that happens to have the ancillary stuff of being able to run and do PC type things. People take it and say, oh, I can do all my PC stuff on it. Eventually, probably you could, but that's not the way it's being marketed. This is an open console. They ship with an experience. You determine what you do with the hardware and you determine what you do with the software. Keep it, nuke it, pave it, whatever. They don't care because it's yours. It's a foreign concept, but it's a foreign concept to most console gamers. PC gamers are more used to this because, you know, build your machine kind of deal. Though in the current GPU market, it's more like a compromise and find a laptop that, you know, is at least affordable with a decent GPU.
few things that completely ruins the concept of the Steam Deck, and the biggest problem I have with it would have to be the absolutely abysmal battery life. Now, Valve claims that the battery life lasts between 2 and 8 hours, and that's a pretty broad range, and in between that range,
I'm going to let you finish your point because something tells me this is going to be a rant.
it really depends on what you're doing with the Steam Deck. If you're playing very simple 2D games, then yeah, you'll probably get a couple hours, maybe even 5 or 6 hours out of the Steam Deck. But if you're playing a AAA PC game with high graphical fidelity, then you're really not going to be able to play for much longer than 1 hour. But if you're only going to play very simple 2D games, then what was the point of buying the Steam Deck in the first place? You might as well just stuck with your Switch. I did not buy the Steam Deck so I could play very simple 2D games like Hollow Knight, Dead Cells, or Shovel Knight, or games in that kind of category. I bought the Steam Deck so I could play AAA games like GTA, Red Dead Redemption, Elden Ring. But when you try and play those games, the battery only lasts about an hour. 1 hour.
So if I'm not mistaken, I believe the total power draw of the system, specifically the APU, is 25 watts. I believe, I could be mistaken, it's either a 40 or 45 watt hour battery in the Steam Deck. Could be mistaken, could be right, wrong there. Battery life is dependent on how hard you push the system. Doesn't matter if it's this system, doesn't matter if it's a laptop. Batteries have a finite life, 2 to 8 hours. The Switch OLED is 4.5 to 9. That's a pretty broad range. The original Switch was 2 to 6. 2.5 to 6. I'll be generous. Pretty broad range. I've had laptops from OEMs, business laptops from OEMs. Specifically, I have one right now. It's a Toshiba Portage ZT20C or something. I don't remember the exact model number. They claim 17 hours. Actual usage, somewhere between 9 and 11. It depends on what you're doing with the system. It depends on the system settings. What do you have Wi-Fi on? Do you have brightness on? Do you have how hard are you pushing the system? When it comes to specifically the Steam Deck, are you running at 60? Are you running at 30? Are you, take your pick. There are so many different ways that you can tweak a system to get more life out of it. But there's a compromise. The logic is simple. The harder you push something with a finite battery source, you're going to eliminate the fuel from that finite source. The harder it works, the more energy it expends. Novel idea.
Hour is just not long enough. I take toilet breaks longer than 1 hour.
And if you're taking toilet breaks longer than an hour, I'm just going to simply say, I'm going to assume you don't have the hole just attached to your ass, because apparently the one that's attached to your face is spewing a lot of the shit too. So you have 2 holes to empty. So it wouldn't surprise me it takes you an hour.
Need at least 6 or 10 hours for one gaming session.
Bruh, you don't even get that with the Switch. Doesn't matter which model. In your case, if it's the Lite, you ain't getting that. Get fucking bent and real. Holy shit.
And only being able to play 1 hour on the battery of the Steam Deck is just not really good enough. The whole point of the Steam Deck is that it's portable. I want to be able to take the Steam Deck, go out into my garden and have a nice long gaming session and enjoy the sunshine and the birds chirping away. But that's just not really possible because I have to go back inside after around an hour to charge the device back up. What's the point of it being portable if I need it to be constantly plugged in to the mains? If I'm going to be constantly plugged into the mains, I might as well just use my desktop computer. There's just no reason to use the Steam Deck over your desktop computer in any kind of situation.
Instant resume from the Steam client. And I'll leave it at that.
The desktop computer is just going to be way better. In comparison, the Switch lasts at least 5 or 6 hours. Even when playing AAA games like Mario Kart or Zelda Breath of the Wild, I can have a nice long gaming session.
Even Nintendo's own claim for Breath of the Wild is 4.5 hours on the OLED. Stop pulling numbers out of your ass.
In my garden. The only solution to this problem I've come up with is I bring a load of these battery banks out into my garden, and this manages to boost the battery for a few hours. But really, I shouldn't have to carry around a load of battery banks just to extend my playtime by a few hours. And it also kind of ruins the portability-ness of the Steam Deck if I have to carry around all these power bricks. My next problem with the Steam Deck has to be the ergonomics of it and the way that it's designed. I just really don't like how there's buttons all over the place. The entire thing is just covered in buttons and trackpads and thumbsticks. I really dislike the paddle buttons on the backside of the Steam Deck because when I get excited, I like to give it a good squeeze, and I keep accidentally pressing the paddle buttons, which is...
I don't need to know that you like to give yourself a good squeeze. Nobody needs to know that. Short version. Those paddle buttons in the back that you hate to squeeze. It really boils down to try using them as shifters in a racing game. Changes your whole dynamic.
Very frustrating. Now, I understand that Valve wanted to give the players all kinds of different control layouts and control options they can choose from, but there's just too many. I feel like
It's not about just the choices and the controller options. It's about, this is a portable system that is taking genres that normally don't have a portable way of playing them. You're taking RTSs and things that require more precise movement than a thumbstick can provide, or a shitty trackpad on this case, or the myriad of buttons on this. The whole point is it's not just about choice, it's about genres, and they have to incorporate for a lot of different genres. MOBAs, things like LoL and Dota 2, things like RTSs, things like FPSs, things like take your pick. So until you understand that, and you claim to be a PC gamer, apparently not a very informed PC gamer. Because if you actually look at the control setup that is on the Steam Deck, you would understand that, oh, those are shift buttons. The buttons up on the top are just these expanded with a Wii U gamepad. It's not rocket science, bro.
the little trackpad things are also extremely unnecessary. I almost never use the little trackpad things because they're just completely useless. It's like, imagine you have a laptop.
No, they're useless because you don't play those genre of games. Novel idea.
Trackpad, but it's just for your thumbs. They're just very annoying to use and they get in the way. I keep accidentally pressing it. I also find the position of the thumbsticks and the buttons to be extremely weird on the Steam Deck because they're right at the top corners, horizontal, and using those thumbsticks horizontally like that is just very strange when you're used to playing with Xbox controllers with the diagonal thumbstick layout. I also
Need I say more about the position of this? These are almost exactly at the end of it. If you've never played this, please shut up. Because you would understand that actually, this is about the equivocal to currently the closest consumer grade equivocal for those of us that don't have a Steam Deck to actually understand what a Steam Deck looks like or feels like in the hand. This is about the closest we got. So basically, they took this and merged it. If you've never used this and you think buttons up here are problematic, shut up. You only can speak. Yes, if you are 100% only used to this controller setup or this controller setup of the offset buttons, then any controller that is different, from the normal setup, you're not going to enjoy. Oh, out of your comfort zone. Novel idea.
also don't like the way the buttons are shaped because I don't have very tough hands. My fingers are very soft because I don't do manual labor, and embarrassingly, my fingers do start to get a bit painful after several hours of gaming on the Steam Deck. I am starting to get a very noticeable blister on my thumb just from pressing down the thumbstick. And I guess you could say, well, it's a Steam Deck, why don't you just plug in your Xbox controller straight into it? And yes, theoretically I could do that, but why would I want to? Because then I have to prop up the Steam Deck on a stand and stare at this tiny little 7-inch display with
Excuse me for a second. So I need to do this. And this. For a guy who's all about this particular console, can you stop riding its junk for a minute and actually not sound like a moron?
With my Xbox controller like that, when I could be using my 36-inch curved monitor? Why would I choose to play on the Steam Deck's tiny little 7-inch display when I've got this massive 36-inch monitor right behind me, which is...
Well, if that's your logic, then just drop your Switch in and, hey, look, you don't have to ever play on the small 720p 7-inch screen of the Switch either. Your logic's fucked.
really nice to play games on. The Steam Deck is also very uncomfortable and kind of heavy to be holding for hours and hours of prolonged gameplay, and after a long period of time, I just really start to feel like my hands are aching. Basically,
So you've admitted you don't do manual labor. That's not your thing. You get blisters from a fucking controller. How beta of a male are you?
thing is like a massive brick. It looks quite well designed, and it is, don't get me wrong, and it looks quite slender and slim, but when you've been holding it for 6 hours straight, it really does start to strain your arms. In comparison, the Switch Lite is extremely light, and I can even hold the thing with only 2 fingers, and I don't feel any strain at all. It's almost as if it doesn't weigh anything at all. Unfortunately, I'm just really...
Because you're bench pressing a cell phone that was mid-range from 2016 with a bigger chassis for an SoC. You stupid fuck.
failing to see how the Steam Deck can be classed as a good portable gaming device, because it just seems like you need to be stuck in your room the whole time with it connected to a charger. Maybe if you just have like a train commute that's only half an hour, then yeah, that's fine for you. You're going to be able to play AAA games for half an hour on the train with your Steam Deck, and the battery will probably last you long enough. But for gamers like me, if there's any kind of situation where I have access to a mains charger, then I'd rather just plug in some kind of laptop or gaming laptop. And if I don't have access to chargers, then I'd rather just use my Switch Lite. It's
Gaming laptop. This is the best you're gonna get. Make sure you carry the controller. Make sure you carry the power brick. Make sure you carry the extra wires. Or I can have all the shit incorporated into one thing. I don't know if you're blind, deaf, dumb, or stupid, or a whole lot of every one of those.
kind of like the Steam Deck is trying to fit in both roles of the portable Switch and the at-home computer, gaming computer. It's kind of like it's trying to be a jack of spades, master of none, and it really does fail to be a master at anything. And it's a real shame because I really like the...
It's jack of all trades, master of none.
Concept of this. If you didn't have any kind of gaming systems right now and you were trying to think, should I get a laptop, should I get a Switch, should I get a Game Boy, well, you could just get a Steam Deck and it covers everything. I guess if my house burns down and I lost everything in my room, then yeah, the Steam Deck might be quite appealing. I could just get that instead of replacing all of my tech. But at this point in my life, I've already got everything. I've got the gaming laptop, I've got my Switch, I've got my curved monitor, so I don't really feel like a Steam Deck would be able to add anything to my current tech setup. Don't get me wrong, I think it's a really good attempt by Valve to enter the portable gaming area, and I think that it's a good first attempt. I think I would prefer to wait for the Steam Deck 2 because there's a few changes I hope they make in the next iteration of Steam Decks. Number one, I hope that they make the thing a lot smaller, a lot slimmer, a lot lighter, and also I hope they make the battery last a lot longer. I also hope they add more USB ports so I don't have to get the dock thing, and they should remove some of the stuff like the trackpads and the paddle buttons and make it a bit more simplified. But until then, I don't really feel like I can wholeheartedly recommend the Steam Deck. I think it's a nice try and it's a very nice looking device, but unfortunately it just kind of falls short at a few things. If you
I don't like your review. There is no... All I can think of is the scene from Billy Madison at the end. We are all now dumber because of you. Like, look, if it's not for you, cool. I totally get it. But the reasons you give are so like stupid. They're dumb. They're legit. Like, if you're gonna fanboy, I don't give a shit. But like, your ride or die mentality with Nintendo is just fucking stupid. You know, I have a Switch, I have a Vita, I have the Game Boy Advance, I have a Game Gear. You know, I've been dealing with portable forever. I have gaming laptops, I have a gaming desktop, I have this, you know, I have a PS3, I have a Wii U, I have a Series X. Like, the fact of the matter is just like, the higher you push something, the more energy it's going to expend. And you don't seem to understand that logic. So your want of like 6 to 10 hours of battery life is just unrealistic when even your lauded Nintendo Switch, be it the OLED, the OG, or the Lite, in your case, I'm assuming the Lite, at best is going to give you 4 hours on a high-end game. And I would even question that estimate. You say 2 to 8 hours is a broad range. Well, it's a broad range anytime you talk to any OEM about battery life. They're always going to give you the best estimate that shines the best light on their product. That's just what they do. It's called marketing. But from the technical specs, again, I don't remember the exact spec of the battery, but I know the total power draw from the chip is 25 watts. And I believe the wattage for the battery is 45. I might be wrong there, and I'll totally own that if I am. So you're talking at least minimum hour 45. Cut the frame rate in half, which with the frame rate limiter, so it's actually smooth, so you avoid things like stutter because of, you know, shaders compiling in the background, because this is probably the part of the shit that you don't understand. You go up to, you know, 3.5 hours. If you're playing on a built-in GPU CPU combo, expecting a 3080, 3090, a 6800 XT, 6700 XT performance on a handheld without it being that goddamn thick, you're fucking delusional. So really, at the end of the day, I'm not a fan of this dude at all. How you got 110 subs, K subs? Don't know. You know, for those that like him, cool. The battery life thing, could it be better? Yeah, but all battery life can be fucking better because it's a give and take. You have to find a balance between what you're looking for results wise and what the capacity and results for the other end and energy expansion are going to be on the other. And you have to meet somewhere in the middle to find that right balance. And for Valve, it was 2 to 8 hours. I would say it's probably going to be 3 to 5, which is roughly about the range of the original Switch or the Vita. It's weird how portables actually fall you generically into that range. But if Homeboy was, you know, around any other portables besides Nintendo's, he might understand that.